It was early morning in eastern Burkina Faso, and the rising sun spread its pale gold across the land, burning away the mist and waking the red earth. In the palace courtyard, President Ibrahim Traoré stood by his black SUV, sipping hot tea, preparing himself for a day that was supposed to be joyous and simple. He was scheduled to visit a rural youth center where hundreds of young men and women were waiting eagerly for his arrival. Speeches had already been prepared, drums had begun to echo in the village square, and children had been lined up to greet him with songs. But the clock was against them. They were running late. His advisor, a tall, confident man named Idrissa, stepped forward, pressing the matter urgently. "Sir, if we take the main road, we'll arrive 2 hours late," he explained. "But there is a shortcut through the bush, very quiet, no towns. We'll be there in 40 minutes. Ibrahim studied him with a raised eyebrow. "Is the road secure?" Idrissa nodded quickly, almost too quickly. "Yes, sir. Our men cleared it yesterday. I personally oversaw it." Karim, the head bodyguard, interjected with unease in his voice. "I've never liked that road. Too quiet, too empty." But Idrissa pressed hard, citing the waiting youth, the lack of fuel, the urgency of time. After a pause, Ibrahim gave in. "Fine, we'll take the shortcut." And so the convoy rolled out, 5 vehicles in all, 2 armed trucks in front, his SUV in the middle, and 2 more trucks behind. The path was narrow, dry, and lined with tall grass whispering in the wind. Not a single villager or herdsman was in sight. No goats, no smoke, no huts. Only silence, and the kind of silence that feels unnatural. For half an hour the journey was uneventful, the bump of tires over uneven dirt, the only rhythm. Then, out of nowhere, a cow appeared, a large brown cow, horns chipped, eyes calm, legs planted firmly in the center of the road. It stood like a sentry, staring straight at the president's vehicle, and refused to move. The driver honked. Nothing. Soldiers shouted from the front truck, waving their rifles. Nothing. A shot cracked into the air, echoing across the bush. Still the cow did not move. Its calmness unsettled everyone. "It's just a cow," a guard muttered. "We'll push it aside." 2 soldiers jumped down and tried to guide it with sticks. The cow shuffled back a few steps, but returned, standing exactly where it had been before. The president rolled down his window, puzzled. "Why hasn't it moved?" Karim shook his head. "It's acting strange." Idrissa snapped impatiently. "Drive around it. We are wasting time." The driver was about to steer off the path when Ibrahim felt something heavy in his chest, a pull he could not ignore. He raised his hand. "Stop the car!" His words froze the convoy. "Send a man to check under the cow." Idrissa protested. "Sir, it's just a cow." Ibrahim's voice sharpened. "Check the ground." The soldiers obeyed. One knelt, brushing the dirt near the animal's hooves. Suddenly he jerked back, eyes wide. "Sir, there's something here!" Everyone rushed closer. Barely visible in the soil was a thin metal wire. The soldier traced it with trembling fingers and found its deadly end, a landmine. Gasps filled the air. A second, then a third. Mine emerged from the dirt. The road was a death trap. Panic rippled through the convoy. Radios crackled, shouts erupted, rifles pointed toward the bush. Ibrahim stepped out slowly, staring at the cow, then the mines, then Idrissa. For the first time, he saw fear in his advisor's eyes. Karim crouched near the devices. "Sir, this was planted recently, very recently. The boot prints are fresh." Ibrahim's jaw tightened. "Someone knew we'd take this road." Idrissa tried to deflect, suggesting it could have been random rebels. But the president's eyes narrowed. Why had Idrissa insisted so strongly on this route? Why had he claimed to personally clear it? Karim's hand hovered near his weapon. The truth was bleeding into the open. Soon, Commander Siku arrived on a motorbike with reinforcements. In private, he told Ibrahim what his men had discovered. One of Idris's security officers had been caught trying to transmit their convoy's location to an unknown foreign number linked to a private military firm. The betrayal was no longer suspicion, it was fact. As they turned back toward the cow, something eerie happened. Slowly, silently, the animal stepped aside, walked into the bush, and vanished, as if its task were complete. A chill ran through everyone present. It had stood firm until the mines were discovered, and then simply left. Ibrahim looked at Idrissa. "You wanted me on this road. You promised it was safe, but that cow saved me before you could kill me." Idrissa's face went pale. Soldiers dragged him away in handcuffs as he stammered denials. Later that day, in a dark interrogation room, the truth spilled out. Confronted with evidence, Idrissa broke. Yes, he had been meeting with strangers, foreign operatives. Yes, he had been promised money, influence, perhaps even power in exchange for delivering the president into their hands. He claimed they only wanted to scare Ibrahim, weaken him, make him pliable. But even his own words betrayed him. Siku slammed down a hidden camera video of Idrissa receiving a satellite phone from a man in foreign military boots. The same phone was found under Idrissa's car seat. Idrissa finally whispered what they had told him. If Traoré keeps rising, Western interests will fall. That was the crime. That was the motive. He had sold his country for dollars. Meanwhile, the cow that had stood between Ibrahim and death was investigated. Villagers nearby denied ownership. No herds matched its markings. It had simply appeared on the road at the exact moment needed, stood over the mines, and left. Some called it luck. Others whispered it was divine. Ibrahim, alone in his office that night, studied a drone photo showing the cow above the buried explosives. He stared at it long and hard, then closed his eyes. Something greater than human treachery was at play here, and he knew his fight was only beginning. The revelations from that road in the bush were only the beginning. In the days that followed, President Ibrahim Traoré pushed deeper into the shadows of betrayal that lurked inside his own palace. Idrissa's confession had confirmed foreign involvement, but it also hinted at something darker, an inside network far larger than a single corrupt advisor. At intelligence headquarters, Siku's cyber team combed through devices, radio logs and GPS histories. Soon they found it, hidden tracking software installed on the convoy's lead vehicle. The program had been transmitting Ibrahim's location in real time, like a video game, to unseen handlers abroad. The culprit was identified as Lieutenant Dwamba, a quiet logistics officer who had worked in the palace for years, trusted by everyone. When confronted, he confessed quickly. He had been offered a new life overseas, money, a visa, and security in exchange for his betrayal. He admitted the mines were not a random act of rebels, but part of an organized international plot. A foreign military contractor linked to Western intelligence had orchestrated everything. Ibrahim read the reports in silence, his heart heavy. In his private journal, he wrote only one line. "They tried to end my life with my own people, but something greater stood in their way." Soon after, he appeared before the nation in an emergency broadcast. Millions across Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea, Niger, and beyond watched. His face was calm, his voice steady. "This week I was nearly killed," he began, "not by rebels, not by war, but by men in suits, foreign powers who smile at us in daylight and plant bombs under our wheels at night." The nation held its breath. He revealed the betrayal of advisors, the infiltration of his palace, the mines beneath his car, and then he said something that stunned the world. They failed because a simple animal stood in the way. A cow. Yes, a cow saved me. He slammed his hand on the desk. "If even nature refuses my death, let them understand. Africa's path is not guided by fear. Burkina Faso is not their chessboard. From this day, no foreign military base, contractor, or spy agency will remain on our soil." Across Africa, his words ignited a fire of pride. Children painted murals of cows with golden horns. Poets called it the divine cow of resistance. Social media exploded with the story. In Mali, Niger, Guinea, Senegal, young people shared it as proof that destiny favored those who fought for dignity. But in Western boardrooms, rage boiled. A $3 million operation had been undone by a cow. Executives of private military firms slammed tables, demanding new plans. This time, they wanted no mines, no noise, something silent, permanent. Days later, a delegation of supposed diplomats arrived at the palace with smiles and gifts, books, electronics, fine tea. Hidden in the tea box was a bracelet equipped with a tiny injector designed to release poison into the president's skin with the brush of a handshake. But Ibrahim had learned his lessons. Operation Mirror, his new security doctrine, meant every visitor, every gift, every handshake was tested. Soldiers burst into the conference room, seizing the device before it could be used. The plotters were dragged away. When one confessed in despair, he cried out, "We tried everything, bribes, mines, poison, yet he always survives." "How?" Siku answered coldly, "Because he fights for people, not power, and sometimes even animals fight with him." That night, Ibrahim addressed his people again. "They call us weak, but the weak do not survive betrayal. The weak do not face bombs and live. The weak do not turn a cow into a shield. Today we proved something greater. Africa cannot be broken." His words traveled far beyond Burkina Faso. In Europe, Asia, and America, analysts scrambled to explain how a rural president had turned an assassination attempt into a legend. In Africa, his stature grew beyond politics. He was no longer just a leader, he was a symbol. Operation Mirror tightened its grip. Every betrayal was exposed publicly, every corruption punished under the light of day. Embassies complained, foreign powers pressured him, but Ibrahim remained unyielding. Weeks passed, the enemies quieted, money stopped working, threats became meaningless. The nation rallied behind him as never before. During a summit in Mali, a journalist asked with a smile, "Mr. President, is it true a cow saved your life?" The room chuckled, waiting for him to laugh it off. Instead, he leaned toward the microphone, eyes steady. "Yes, a cow saved me." But the true miracle was what it revealed. It showed us betrayal hidden deep in our own walls. It reminded us that even the earth can speak, if you are humble enough to listen. The hall went silent, then erupted into applause. Back home, welders built a statue of a cow from army scrap metal and placed it in the palace garden. On its base was carved, "It stood when the world wanted him to fall." Ibrahim often walked past it in silence, reflecting. The cow grazed again somewhere in the bush, unaware of its fame, living its simple life. But its legacy had already changed history. Ibrahim Traoré had survived bombs, betrayal, poison, and plots, not with guns, not with armies, but with vigilance, truth, and the mysterious intervention of a creature that chose to stand still at the right moment. And so, while his enemies whispered in foreign capitals, Africa whispered back with one voice. Sometimes the greatest revolutions begin not with weapons or soldiers, but with the stubborn stillness of a single cow that refused to move.